Hello guys, it's Brooke with the Junk Parlor. So my husband and I recently took a long weekend trip to New Harmony, Indiana. If you have never heard of New Harmony, Indiana, you need to put it on your list of places to visit. Now I'm guessing most of you probably haven't heard of New Harmony because it's a town of about 700 people. Although the history in this place and the beautiful landscaping and character and just the overall feel of Utopia is incredible. I really hope that I am doing the place justice in my video, although I am not a cinematographer, and so I'm guessing I am not accurately portraying how incredibly magic this community is. So you'll have to visit and see it for yourself.
Behind this wooden fence is a brick fence that was made out of bricks from the old Harmonist church, and it is home to old Indian burials as well as graves from the early settlers, and they are not marked with headstones because they believed in equality. While there are buildings scattered throughout the community from the 1800s, the visitor center was built to represent the future. And right next to it, you have a couple of the trees of 40 fruits. And these trees actually produce stone fruits of various varieties because the trees have been grafted together over the years. There's also the double cabin, and this log cabin, like a lot of the buildings in the community, can be rented. As we explore New Harmony, be sure to look at all of the fence detail. It really adds to the charm and character of this community. You will find most of the retail here on Main Street. Above the library, they have the Working Men's Institute, which gives you a lot of insight into what the explorers found and used while they lived here. Hubby and I walked around the community a lot and just kind of looked in people's yards for inspiration. I absolutely loved how this person took their little wagon and used it to plant tomatoes. Most of the retail spaces on Main Street are antique shops. I am just sharing a few of them, but we also have lots of opportunities for classes. They do classes on textiles, cooking, pottery, whiskey. I mean, there's literally a little bit of everything to do here.
History of New Harmony. So anybody that you talk to in the community, I feel like they are well versed on the history of where they live, because they know that a lot of their visitors are very interested in that stuff. And just looking around at all of the old buildings from the 1800s that have survived, it's nice to be able to rattle the history off to guests of the community. So we heard the story a few times in our travels, and some of it has stuck into my head, and some of it I am rereading so that I can share it with you. So the gist of it is that New Harmony was started back in 1814. So this guy basically had a dream that they needed to move. They currently had a community in Pennsylvania, and that community in Pennsylvania was called Harmony. So when he had a dream that they needed to move, they moved to what is now called New Harmony, and that's how it got the name. Harmony in Pennsylvania, New Harmony in Indiana. Its members were separatists of the German Luther Church, and they were basically innovators, forerunners. They used the newest machinery, the newest technology, and did a lot of things in the community, and they built a lot of buildings. I think it was like 180 buildings in the 10 years that they lived here, and a lot of those still are standing. So they were very innovative. But then the guy, George Rapp, who had the dream to move them all to Indiana, he had another dream, and they decided to sell New Harmony and move back to Pennsylvania. So then when they sold the community, they sold it to Robert Owen, who is a social reformer, and William McClure, who became known as the father of genealogy. So there is a lot of history just in the two people that took over this community. They kind of had a different viewpoint of things. They believed in an equal society, an equal education, and one person kind of summarized it as they basically had these dormitories, and they had all the kids move there to get a good education and to learn because they didn't think the parents could do a good job, is how they summarized it. They kind of had the mindset, or brought over a boatload of knowledge. So they brought a lot of scientists and educators, and one of the guys that was here is what one of the restaurants is named after, Say's. He basically, I don't know if he named the firefly, but the fireflies are thought of to be because of him, and then they became Indiana's state insect. And then their ideas kind of faded, and another Owen came into existence, Jane Owen, and until 2010, she did so much for the community. She is a lady who had like 20 houses all over the world, but she spent most of her time in New Harmony and helped that community continue to thrive. think one of the reasons that Matt and I found it so enchanting was all of the vegetation and the trees. Trees simply lined the entire community, and every house seemed to have a thriving garden of wildflowers or grasses. They weren't necessarily manicured like a museum, but they were very natural, and it was just so welcoming and inviting. It's the kind of place I think of Cheers, where everybody knows your name, because everybody, when we were riding around on the golf cart, said hi, said their name, told us their life story, really was very welcoming. It's definitely a sense of community, and they definitely do bring in a lot of tourists. So there's lots of restaurants to eat at. There's lots of historical buildings to tour. There are lots of antique stores and art galleries. One fun thing they do in the community is they have artists come in, and they have like 150, and they take over the community, setting up anywhere and everywhere and paint. They have contests for those artists, like there's a timed drawing activity, and then at the end they have a little display gallery where you can see what they've accomplished that weekend, and then things are available for purchase. Even though it's a town of 700, there is plenty to do and see, and also just to relax and unwind. I don't know about you, but sometimes I have a little bit of problem of just sitting back, relaxing, and looking at the surroundings and the beauty around us. And this place really encourages that.
We were lucky and got to tour a few places that not everyone gets to see, and one of them was this home. I mean, check out their front garden, and the house was just as cool inside. Creation Station was a neat shop with tons of artist work, anywhere from homemade dulcimers to paintings and jewelry and pottery. And the owner here is Rick, and he shared with us a tragic story and the resulting love he has for the dulcimer, which was he was going on a little vacation trip with his wife and best friend on their motorcycles and ended up getting hit head on by a vehicle that killed his wife and best friend and left him without feeling in his right side. This instrument saved him because he was able to start playing it while he was in the hospital.
hope you have enjoyed this little tour of New Harmony. I really hope it encourages you to visit someday. And if you are going to visit, I want to share with you the cutest little cottage, New Harmony Cottage, that my friends Jeff and Cindy run. That's where we stayed when we visited, and so you're gonna need to go and take that tour next.